Hi everyone, we're going to start doing videos, the things that we go through on a day-to-day basis or things that we deal with as an IH patient. The first topic we're going to discuss is a low pressure headache. A low pressure headache can be caused by an internal spinal fluid leak. In most cases for us, it's from a spinal tap. Our brain sits inside of a bag filled with spinal fluid, which extends down from the skull into our spine. The fluid helps to circulate the crud from our brain and provides the cushioning and support. When the pressure of this fluid is too low, the brain may sag downward when we're sitting upright, causing us crazy amounts of pain. Did you know that a low pressure headache occurs in about 10% of people who have a spinal tap? It's pretty crazy. Low pressure headaches are intense. They occur when we sit or stand and may be relieved when we're laying down. We may also have a stiff, painful neck, and most likely will have nausea and vomiting from the intensity of the pain. Can a low pressure headache be diagnosed? Doctors can base a diagnosis on the symptoms of the situation. Also, an MRI can show enhancement of the meninges lining the brain, and sometimes can indicate the evidence of the brain sagging downward from the skull toward the neck. An MRI of the neck and back occasionally reveals spinal fluid leaking out of its normal location. That's an instance of a spinal fluid leak. A CT scan of the back after dye is injected into the spinal fluid may reveal a site of a leak. There's also a CSF cisternogram, a procedure where a radioactive dye is injected into the spinal fluid and detected by a special radiation detective camera. It's pretty high tech there. How were they treated? With strict bed rest, pain medication, increased fluid intakes. If severely dehydrated, you're going to have to go into the hospital and have IV fluids, and lots of caffeine, lots of Mountain Dew, Coke, Pepsi, and if you can't do that, you have to have a pill form or get in the hospital by IVs. If these treatment options fail, and there's an epidural blood patch that can be done. In this procedure, a syringe of our own blood is taken from a vein and it's injected into our spine. Usually the blood patch offers immediate relief, but for some it doesn't help, and it may need to be repeated a few times to be successful. I would say this pain would be on the top 10 list for the worst pain that a person can go through. I personally have only had to deal with one low pressure headache, and it wasn't fun at all. It lasted for 7 days. The neurologist did say if it lasted for more than 7 days to come in for a blood patch. Well, on the 7th day, it did go away, but for those 7 days, it was freaking hell. I mean, but for those 7 days, it was hell. I had to crawl to the bathroom. I mean, it was unbearable. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah. I know some of you had low pressure headache after every time you've had a spinal tap. I mean, I'm so sorry. It's not fun at all. I'm going to read through some of the comments that you left on your experiences with low pressure headaches that I asked a question on the Life with IH Facebook page. I think that you can read through all the research articles in the world on the internet, but actually hearing it from people firsthand is better than reading any research article there is out there. So here's a few of their experiences. Feels like my spine is trying to suck my brain down. Only when I lay down it eases up. It's nicknamed the suicide headache for a reason. Worst pain ever. Vomiting every time I sit up. Worst pain ever. Low pressure is like a really bad hangover. My head feels empty, dehydrated, dizzy every time I stand up. I get queasy and want to vomit. I lose my balance like I'm drunk. bump into walls. The only thing that helps is being horizontal. I don't drink coffee, so Coke and chocolate are my caffeine hit. And that was by IH or Nikki. After my LP revision surgery, I had a low pressure headache for 2 weeks. Oh my gosh, that's a long time. I was miserable. I couldn't sit up or stand without feeling like my brain was slipping and sliding around inside my skull. Every time I would sit or stand, I would vomit violently or until my nose would bleed. My neck hurt constantly. All I could do was lay still in bed, and that was by Brittany. It's the worst pain I've ever experienced. I've literally had to crawl to the bathroom. The only relief I get is when lying flat, and that was by Emma. When I have a low pressure headache, I just want the pain gone. I get similar pain to a high pressure headache, only 100 times worse. It really feels like my head is split in two. I want my head to split in two if it would stop the pain. I've had to be in a dark room as artificial light is unbearable. I literally want to scratch my eyes out. Lying down eases the pain, but if I move too sharply, even when lying down, the pain is extreme. Standing or sitting are just impossible. There were times I crawled to the toilet. I don't even attempt to bend over. Looking after my daughter is impossible. It's like a sharper version of high pressure headache that just gets worse with time and makes you feel as though you're dying. And that was by Abigail. I can't sit or stand because of the pain it causes. Only get relief when lying down. It gets so bad, have to go back to the hospital. And that was by Norma. It's one of the worst pains I've ever been through in my life. Usually try to drink a ton of caffeine right after the tap to try to avoid it, but it never keeps it away. They usually last about 2 to 3 weeks for me. Only thing that helps is to lay flat, and that's by Kendall. Oh my gosh, Kendall, that is so long. 7 days was hell for me, and I can't imagine 2 to 3 weeks. I've only had one low pressure headache after a spinal tap. I could not sit up without the pain hitting the oh no, I'm going to vomit stage. Thankfully, laying down relieved the pain. I suffered 3 days before calling the doctor. Went to the ER for a blood patch, and the pain was instantly gone. That was by Christy. I've had my first low pressure headache after my spinal tap, and all I could think is, oh no, I'm gonna die. It was terrible pain and compares greatly with an IH headache. After spending a day on my back with some pain medication, I was okay. That was by Ashley. It was much worse than my normal headaches. Felt like someone was bashing the top of my head every time I stood up. I can agree with that. Lasted around 5 days. Not the good patch. It's not the good patch. Lasted around 5 days. The blood patch didn't seal off correctly, so I went through that for nothing. That was by Ashley. It's happened 3 or 4 times. It was the worst pain ever. My high pressure headaches are still much worse, but the low pressure ones are still miserable, and blood patches have never worked. That was by Jessica. Mine lasted for 2 weeks. I didn't cope. I couldn't eat or drink. Sitting up resulted to drinking out of sports bottles so I could stay hydrated. Then I was admitted into the hospital, put on fluid drip, and given an epidural blood patch. The relief was immediate. Doctor said I had almost no fluid left, and if I had collapsed, I would have most likely caused brain damage, so I was very ill. I was trying to create an analogy with a bag, water, and an Easter egg. So if any of you can get this to work or has any ideas on how to make this work to stay floating in the middle of the bag, so there's water on the top and water on the bottom, kind of how your brain is, where there's water on the top and water on the bottom, please send us some messages on the page or on here, because I want to kind of make an analogy how it is when you get a tap and you drain too much fluid, so how your brain is kind of banging on your skull. I hope this video has helped you with the questions about low pressure headache, and if you have any more questions, please contact us here or on the Facebook page, the Life with IH Facebook page. And I hope everyone is having a pain-free day. And please subscribe. We have a lot of wonderful people, guys and gals, that would love to show you what their life is like with IH.